Hi, and thank you for tuning in to the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Today we are focusing on Psalm 74. Just want to encourage you to take some time and read through this psalm on your own. Let the words just permeate your heart and ask the Lord to speak to you and challenge you. I just want to read a few verses to you and give you some things to think about that you can consider as you read it through. Verses 9 through 11 say this in Psalm 74. We no longer see your miraculous signs. All the prophets are gone, and no one can tell us when it will end. How long, O God, will you allow our enemies to insult you? Will you let them dishonor your name forever? Why do you hold back your strong right hand? Unleash your powerful fist and destroy them. This psalm is interesting because the author is reflecting on a time when God seemed absent. He's reflecting on a time in his life where he felt forgotten. And I don't know about you, but I felt that way at times. There's been times in my life where I didn't have a worship song playing on repeat in my mind, but instead I felt some despair and I felt discouraged and I felt alone and I felt forgotten by God. And what you can discover as you read through this psalm is that the psalmist in that moment recognized that to get out of that, he needed to remind God of his faithfulness. He kind of almost challenges God. Hey, God, where are you? Don't you remember what you've done for me in the past? And he begins to reflect on some miracles that God has done, on moments when God showed his power, on moments when God came through and did things that only he could do. And he reminds God to incite or encourage God, hey, do it again. But what I imagine he discovered is something that we as well can discover, is that when we remind God of his good deeds, it also reminds us. And the psalmist comes to a place where he recognizes, even though his circumstances by the end of the psalm had not yet changed, his heart and perspective have. And he sees now that, hey, wait a minute, God, not only do I hope, not only do I cry out to you and in desperation saying I need you, but now I stand in a place where I know you will be faithful again. As I have seen what you've done, I know I will experience it again in the future. And it gave him a security, even in the midst of a tumultuous time in his life. I don't know what you're facing today. I don't know if there's parts of you that feels forgotten or isolated or alone. I don't know in this new year if you're not filled with excitement and anticipation, but maybe you're filled with dread or fear or anxiety over the state you find yourself in. I want to remind you to remind yourself, to remind God of his goodness. You see, God has been faithful to you, and he will continue to be faithful to you. And so remind him so that he can remind you that he's with you. No matter what you're facing, you will get through this. No matter what hardships stand before you, you have a God who knows how to not only get through them, but to take you with him. And so cling to him today. Trust him today. Pray in faith today that God will be with you. And then watch what he will do. What testimony is he writing today that you might reflect on tomorrow? Hey, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for another Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.